Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to some EVE Online, and in today's video I want to bring a bit of an overview of some of the new information that CCP has been releasing for the Citadel expansion. So we have two new dev blogs that touch on the capital ship changes, and another one that touches on the new structures, the Citadels, that CCP plans to release in the expansion. So let's sit down and let's take a quick look here. As always, in my opinion, the best way to go here is just go for the community website, and then down here you can find the dev blogs. Now, before we get started, a quick note maybe on the latest dev blog. It's called the EVE Online API Challenge. So with the API and Crest, people can make some pretty amazing pieces of softwares and websites like kill boards and stuff like that. And so CCP is going to have a bit of a competition for people that create a piece of software that uses Crest. And there are some pretty amazing rewards. So if you actually have the skills for something like that, consider putting in your own entry, because winning a classic Tranquility Server Blade, a Mortus Legion Parade skin pack, 5000 Orm and 5 Plex sounds like something that's pretty damn cool. For the second place winner, it's a choice of Super Capital skin, 3000 Orm, a Plex and a signed copy of EVE Universe, The Art of New Eden. I think that's definitely a pretty cool book to own as well. And the third place gets a Sisters of Eve Sanctuary skin pack, 3000 Orm and another signed copy for The Art of New Eden. And on top of that, there will be a fourth prize that CCP Seagull will be able to give to any contestant of her choice for 3000 Orm and another one of those signed copies of The Art of New Eden. Now, honestly, something like a Server Blade and 5 Plex, or just the book The Art of New Eden, I think are pretty amazing prizes. And so again, if you have any skills in this department, you may want to check out this competition with all of its rules, how to apply and stuff like that right here in the dev blog. I definitely think it's a cool opportunity for people that have some programming skills to show what they have. Next up here, let's start with reworking capital ships, skills, modules and refitting. So if you are a carrier pilot or you are planning to use one of those new force auxiliary capital ships, they're going to take over the logistics role of carriers that carriers do at the moment, then this is definitely a dev blog that you want to check out. First of all, we're getting some of the stats for the new auxiliary ships, like the Apostle, the Minokawa, the Liv and the Ninazu. So that's definitely going to give you a bit of an idea already of what these ships will be capable of. What I liked a lot about this dev blog, or what I thought was really important information, is the triage carrier to force auxiliary transition. So CCP is actually planning to have every carrier that has a triage module fitted at the time of the patch be replaced by one of those new force auxiliary ships of the same empire as the one that you have the carrier as. So this is pretty damn important. In the Sunday recap, I said it would be like with the remote rep module or something like that. No, it's the triage module that needs to be fitted if you want to have a force auxiliary instead of a carrier. So I like the fact that they'll give players the choice. Of course, for people that are not subbed at the time, it could be a bit of an unexpected surprise that when they do come back, they'll find themselves with a completely different ship. But yeah, for alliances and all the players that actually fly carriers actively, this should allow them to be prepared for this transition, because it is of course quite a major change, but one that will allow alliances to keep fielding fleets that use triage, remote reps, stuff like that from day one, so that there's actually a chance to keep transitioning, to keep going if you have a war going and stuff like that. Another thing is that there are some new modules that are going to come out, like a capital ancillary shield booster and armor repair, but also remote ancillary shield boosters and armor repairs, and those in small, medium, large and capital versions, which could make the logistics role quite a bit more interesting and dynamic, because you do need like cap boosters or nanite repair paste in your cargo hold in order to have those work fully optimally. So you can't you can't probably use those too well in an extended situation, but it sounds pretty damn interesting. And then we also have the Capital Emergency Hull Energizer, which will push the hull resistance to 99% for 20 seconds. So that's something that could be pretty cool if you could protect yourself against like a doomsday from that, things like that. It will burn out after a cycle, so it's a one-time deal. But again, this is a choice that you need to do to make when you're fitting your carrier or your auxiliary ship. Or whatever it is that you're flying, because of course it's a slot that is being used up, but it's something that could allow you to stay on field even after a doomsday has been fired on you, which is not insignificant. The heavy stasis grappler, we already knew the new web that's coming for battleships and for capital ships, but then here of course the capital scriptable armor and shield hardeners, so similar to armor hardeners and shield hardeners, but they can be scripted to provide either very weak protection from all damage types or high protection from a single damage type. And so the idea of course of this new module is to provide a bit of an alternative for the combat refitting, which CCP just basically wants to get rid of. So allowing people to refit their ships while they have a weapon timer on is something that CCP doesn't want in the game. They consider this to be basically a flaw in the design of the game itself, and so they are, well, let's say 99% sure that they are going to fix this, that is going to be taken out of the game. A lot of people are not happy with that decision, but honestly this scriptable armor and shield hardener, I think, and the fact that here they have an entire part of this dev blog explaining why they want to change this and that the conversation is ongoing. I think it's very important, if you're not happy with combat refitting being taken out of the game, that you start the conversation right now, because CCP is still open to any suggestion, any alternative that could bring you guys a similar experience to when it comes to being active in a combat situation with your ship. And so yeah, if you have any ideas about changes to modules, active modules, or maybe create active parts to existing modules, things like that, that could actually provide you with a meaningful choice, something to do in combat that could help deal with the fact that combat refitting is going away, then this is definitely the chance to do so. I know that for like capital ships, you know, it's used quite extensively. Even for some battleships, it is used very successfully by some smaller groups to get more out of their ships than they normally can under a single fitting, but that is going away. And yeah, as if you want something to be added to the game in order to basically give you some options that could replace combat refitting, then this dev blog, the comments here and the forums are definitely the way to go at the moment, because you need to be active in this if you want different type of changes to come to the game, if you're not happy with combat refitting leaving the game. If you want my opinion on combat refitting, then I think that it should just be taken out, because you should commit to a fit before you engage in combat. When you leave from the station, I think that that's when you've made your choice when it comes to the fitting, and after that the piloting skills should be within your chosen fit. Personally, I agree that that is not something that should be possible, and so that is my opinion on that. But yeah, if you're not happy with it, this is the time to speak up, to talk to CCP, I would say in a mature manner. Accept that the combat refitting is going to go away, but try to find other ways to bring this interesting gameplay into the game yet again for you. So let's go back to the dev blogs, and then let's talk a little bit about the next one, structure fitting in Eve with the Citadel expansion. So we get a pretty cool screenshot from the duality mass test, where they dropped the Keep Star, one of the Excel Citadels, on us. That was pretty damn cool. But here, for instance, you do get a first glance at work in progress for the fitting windows. So of course, you have high slots with weapons, medium slots with E-War, and then low slots that should allow you to improve the damage from your high slots. The biggest difference, of course, are right here down below. You've got the structure surfaces, and then the rigs here will, of course, only have an impact, I think, on the structure surface. Or are there some rigs that will improve weapons? I think there are actually. So it's full of choices. I personally like this, but if we have to go for some of the interesting parts of this dev blog, I mean, this is a really big dev blog. Let's quickly browse through everything and go back up where we actually get a list of slots, slot layouts, possible fittings that could be done here. You also have shield capacity, capacitor, all of that information is provided here. That's pretty interesting. You also have a list of modules and rigs, so you can really already start theory crafting the Citadel that you want. But for me, what's really damn interesting is actually down below here, fuel usage. So the biggest change is that at first they had planned to introduce a new type of fuel block that would use all the isotopes in the game, but they're taking that out. So any existing fuel block will be usable in any of the citadels. I think that's really good news, because having to go after all the racial isotopes means that you have to go after ice belts in all the different empires, and the amount of logistics to create those fuel blocks is going to be a real nightmare. So I think this is a really good decision. I'm very happy about that myself, since I am planning to go for a large citadel. But the other big news here is, of course, that we get a first idea of the expected fuel costs as well, because it's not going to be a flat fuel cost on the tower like it is at the moment, but it's actually going to be the service modules that are going to have a fuel block cost. And keep in mind, this is work in progress, but we can expect it to be around this number. So a market hub, 40 blocks an hour, cloning center 10 blocks an hour, reprocessing plant 5 blocks an hour, and then compression plant 5 blocks an hour as well. Now, if we quickly compare this to a POS at the moment, let's go for star base, control towers. If you start with the small one, now we can go for fuel requirements, 10 blocks an hour, so that's quite okay. But even a medium POS is already 20 blocks an hour, and then a normal control tower is 40 blocks an hour. And so if you want a market hub to be active in your citadel, that's going to cost as much as a large tower. Honestly, I think that's pretty normal. A large citadel is actually aimed at least an alliance that can sustain something like that, that could sustain an outpost at the moment. And so while this will be expensive for me, for instance, a small group that wants their own market hub, it is something that you have to dedicate yourself to, and it is going to cost you 40 blocks an hour. If on top of that you want some reprocessing and compression, which personally I am planning to have there and to provide, that's another 10 blocks or another small tower added there. So it could start to become decently expensive to keep that running. But I think that we have some numbers now. I don't think these are completely crazy or outrageous either. This is something that should be manageable price-wise, logistics-wise. And it does mean that if you decide to go for some of these modules, some of these services in your citadel, you do want to be somewhat committed to it, or have people that are somewhat committed to it, so that you can get enough money out of your activity to actually make it worth the fuel block cost. But it's full of quite a lot of interesting information about their design philosophy, about what they're expecting the mid slots, the low slots, the high slots to do, the rigs as well. A lot of information about the rigs here in this dev blog. So if, like me, you are looking to get into a citadel when the expansion hits, then I think this dev blog is a must read as well. And finally, what I quickly want to talk about as well is if you want to have your say on any of these topics or anything else, then go to the forums and go to the upcoming features and change feedback center, or player features and ideas discussion. These are pretty important forums here. where all of this is actually discussed. So it's definitely up to us at the moment. If you're not happy with any of the changes that are announced here, to give your feedback, to give your ideas, try to be proactive and try to find ways that CCP could actually help you make the game better. Because, for instance, the combat refitting, I think we have to accept that that's just going away. But we have to try to find ways to keep people happy if they like a more active combat, even in bigger ships like capital ships. Then maybe we can find some ideas to actually provide that. So yeah, the features and ideas discussion, test server feedback, all of that stuff is definitely where you're going to find all of the active discussions on that. And if you have strong opinions about this, I would say head over to the forums and make your opinion known there, because that's where CCP, I think, will be the most active. You could post in the Reddit thread, but that's not really going to be taken in as very active feedback. It's really in the forums where you want to do them. Anyways, that was some updated information on the expansion. Honestly, I would love to see a release date come out sooner rather than later, because I can't wait for Citadel. I'm almost ready with pretty much all the preparations for my Citadel, to be honest. I'm already starting to make some of those structure parts themselves, just to be a little bit more prepared and to be able to jump right in. But to me, it's all looking pretty damn promising, and I'm totally looking forward to the Citadel expansion. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.